this is Ree here. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate all of you. All thanks to Kali Ma. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. It really helps me a lot. Don't forget to check out my website, paradoxastrology.com. Book your consultation today. I can help you with anything. And if you would like more exclusive occult videos that I don't post on YouTube, consider subscribing to my Patreon. It also helps to support this channel. Okay, let's get into this video. Just a very short video about the story of Pushya Nakshatra, which is in Cancer. And it's a story that we can all learn from. It is very important to Pushya, but remember, all the nakshatras are within you. Just because you don't have planets there doesn't mean it isn't part of you. So that's why we can learn from these stories. Now, this is just the version of the story in my own words. If you would like to know the exact story, it's definitely online and you can find it. But in a short version, there was a sage and he had a cow. And one day the king was in the forest and he was hunting with his army. And then they came across the sage's home with this wonderful cow. And the cow could produce anything at will. So it was a very magical cow. The king wanted to have the cow all to himself. So he ordered his soldiers to go get the cow. The soldiers could not budge the cow. So then they came back empty-handed. So then the king decided with his whole army and his brothers to go get the cow. In the meantime, the cow returned and told the sage that this army is trying to steal me. The sage came, and because of the king's intentions, he was ready and he approached the army that was coming and he killed the king's 100 brothers and the army with his staff. But he spared the life of the king. So the king left and he was very bitter. Someone told him that if he actually does his sadhana and his spiritual practice, he can become even more powerful than the sage. So he said, okay, I'm going to do that. So he starts doing his spiritual practice. Once he felt that he had enough power and astral weapons to defeat the sage, he went back. But when he went back to fight the sage, all his weapons were rendered useless, because the sage was more powerful. So the king went back and was very disappointed. So the king started doing more and more spiritual practice, more and more. But then he got to a point that because he did so much spiritual practice, he totally forgot about his revenge plan, and it didn't matter to him anymore because he found his power within. He reached a stage of being almost of like a Brahma, and then he earned the name Mitra, which is a friend of the world, because he did so much spiritual practice and gained this compassion and this knowledge. So it just shows us that what he was ultimately looking for by trying to take the cow is he was ultimately looking for his own power outside of himself. Once he sat down and found his own power, then he didn't feel like he had to destroy the world anymore or take anything from anybody else. So it just shows you when you surrender to the universe, you surrender what they say like the universal will, and you let things be in silence, which is what he was doing in his meditation, you will find your own power. And that's ultimately all that we're actually looking for. So your power doesn't come from having a huge army. It doesn't come from having your brothers backing you up and having this force. It comes from within. Just like the sage, he got his power from doing his meditation. The ultimate power comes from spiritual practice. It does not come from force. It does not come from aggression. All of those things diminish your own power. When you have ultimate connection to who you are, then you gain ultimate compassion, and then you gain wisdom. So it's just showing us that we don't have to look outside of ourselves. And this is the power of spiritual practice. You will see a lot of times that once you connect with yourself and you've been going through something and you want revenge on somebody, you feel like they did you wrong. Take time to look within, and then you'll realize once you give it time and you do your practices, you're going to realize that it's only going to destroy yourself. And there's no reason for it. There's no reason. It's only going to create karma for you, but ultimately you were just looking for yourself the whole time, because whatever you were trying to get revenge over, you felt like it took a part of you, and it was, and it kept taking that part of you because you allowed it. If you take yourself back and find out who you truly are, you're going to realize that it has no power and there's no need for revenge. So these are just small story about Pushya Nakshatra that we can all relate to. I know in my life I can relate to this, and I hope maybe you can too. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you.